Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another day with me, Teizzy, and Teizzy's World. I hope everybody had a great day. Yes. So, it did do an interruption there, so hopefully this one will work better. We'll see. Right? Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward. We are on Second Book of Chronicles, and we were just getting started when it cut completely off. So we'll start over again. The altar of brass. Moreover, he made an altar of brass, 20 cubits the length thereof, and 20 cubits the breadth thereof, and 10 cubits the height thereof. And we're going to stare at my hair. Also, he made a molten sea of 10 cubits, from brim to brim, round in compass, and 5 cubits. The height thereof, and a line of 30 cubits did compass it round about. And under it was the similitude of oxen, which did compass it round about 10 and a cubit, compassing the sea round about. 2 rows of oxen were cast. When it was cast, it stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, and 3 looking toward the west, and 3 looking toward the south, and 3 looking toward the east. And the sea was set above upon them, and all their hinder parts were inward. And the thickness of it was a hand breadth, and the brim of it like the work of the brim of a cup, with flowers of lilies, and it received and held 3,000 baths. He made also 10 layers, and put 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left, to wash in them. Such things as they offered for the burnt offering they washed in them. But the sea was for the priestess to wash in. And he made 10 candlesticks of gold, according to their form, and set them in the temple, 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left. He made also 10 tables, and placed them in the temple, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left. And he made 100 basins of gold. Furthermore, he made the court of the priestess, and the great court, and doors of the court for the court, and overlaid the doors of them with brass. And he set the sea on the right side of the east end, over against the south. And Hiram made the pots and the shovels and the basins. And Hiram finished the work that he was to make for King Solomon for the house of God, to wit, to the pillars, the 2 pillars, and the pommels, and the chapters, which were on the top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 rafts to cover the 2 pommels of the chapters, which were on the top of the pillars, and 400 pomegranates on the 2 rafts, 2 rows of pomegranates on each raft, to cover the 2 pommels of the chapters which were upon the pillars. He made also basins, and lavers made he upon the bases. 1 sea, and 12 oxen under it, the pots also, and the shovels, and the flesh hooks And all the instruments did Hiram his father make to King Solomon for the house of the Lord of bright brass. In the plain of Jordan did the king cast them, in the clay ground between Succoth and Zaradath. Thus Solomon made all these vessels in great abundance, for the weight of brass could not be found out. And Solomon made all the vessels that were for the house of God, the golden altar also, and the tables whereon the shewbread was set, moreover the candlesticks with their lamps, that they should burn after the manner before the oracle of pure gold. And the flowers, and the lamps, and the tongs made him of gold, and that perfect gold. And the snuffers, and the basins, and the spoons, and the censers, of pure gold, and the entry of the house, the inner doors thereof for the most holy place, and the doors of the house of the temple were of gold. Dedicated treasures deposited in the temple. Thus all the work that Solomon made for the house of the Lord was finished, and Solomon brought in all the things that David his father had dedicated, and the silver and the gold, and all the instruments put he among the treasures of the house of God. Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the chief of the fathers and the children of Israel, unto Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of the city of David, which is Zion. Wherefore all the men of Israel assembled themselves unto the king in the feast which was in the 7th month. And all the elders of Israel came, and the Levites took up the ark. And they brought up the ark and the tabernacle of the congregation, and all the holy vessels that were in the tabernacle. These did the priests and the Levites bring up. Also King Solomon and all the congregation of Israel that were assembled unto him before the ark sacrificed sheep and oxen, which could not be told nor numbered for multitude. And the priestess brought in the ark of the covenant of the Lord unto his place, to the oracle of the house, unto the most holy place, even under the wings of the cherubims. For the cherubims spread forth their wings over the place of the ark, and the cherubims covered the ark and the staffs thereof above, and they drew out the staffs of the ark, that the ends of the staffs were seen from the ark before the oracle, but not seen. There was nothing in the ark save therein when the Lord made a covenant when they Egypt. And it came For all the priestess that were present were sanctified, and did not then wait by course. The Levites, which all of them of Heman and harps, stood at the having stood at the east end of the altar, welcome, and with them 120 priestess surrounding the trumpets. It came interesting. All right, continue. And it came even to pass, as the trumpeters and stingers were as one, to make one sound to be heard in praising and thanking the Lord. And when they lifted up their voice with trumpets and cymbals and instruments of music, and praised the Lord, saying, For he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. That then the house was filled with a cloud, even the house of the Lord, so that the priestess could not stand to minister by reason of the cloud, for the glory of the Lord had filled the house of God. Solomon's opening address. Then said Solomon, The Lord hath said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. But I have told a house of habitation for thee, and a place for thy dwelling forever. And the king turned his face, and blessed the whole congregation of Israel, and all the congregation of Israel stood. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, who hath with his hands fulfilled that which he spake with his mouth to my father David, saying, Since the day that I brought forth my people out of the land of Egypt, I chose no city among all the tribes of Israel to build a house in, that my name might be there. Neither choose I any man to be a ruler over my people Israel, but I have chosen Jerusalem, that my name might be there. And I have chosen David to be over my people Israel. Now it was in the heart of David my father to build a house for the name of the Lord God of Israel. But the father said to David my father, The Lord said to David my father, Forasmuch as it was in thy heart to build a house for my name, thou didst well in that it was in thy heart. Notwithstanding, thou shalt not build the house, but thy son, which shall come forth out of thy loins, he shall build the house for my name. The Lord therefore hath performed his word that he hath spoken. For I am risen up in the room of David my father, and am set on the throne of Israel, as the Lord promised, and have built the house for the name of the Lord God of Israel, and in it have I put the ark. Wherein is the covenant of the Lord, that I made with the children of Israel. Solomon's dedicated, tongue twisted on that one, right? So Solomon's dedicatory prayer. And he stood before the altar of the Lord in the presence of all the congregation of Israel, and spread forth his hands. For Solomon had made a brazen scaffold of 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad, and 3 cubits high, and had set it in the midst of the court, and upon it he stood, and knelt down upon his knees before all the congregation of Israel, and spread forth his hands toward heaven, and said, O Lord God of Israel, there is no God like thee in heaven, in the heaven, nor in the earth, which keepest covenant, and showest mercy unto thy servants, that walk before thee with all thy hearts. Thou, which hast kept with thy servant David, my father, that which thou hast promised him, and my father, that which thou hast promised him, and spakest with thy mouth, and hast fulfilled it with thy hand, as it is this day. Now therefore, O Lord God of Israel, keep with thy servant David my father that which thou hast promised him, saying, There shall not fail thee a man in my sight to sit upon the throne of Israel. Yet, so that thy children take heed to their way to walk in my law, as thou hast walked before me. Now then, O Lord God of Israel, let thy word be verified, that thou hast spoken unto thy servant David. But will God in very deed dwell with man on the earth? Behold, heaven and the heavens of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house which I have built? Have respect, therefore, to the prayer which thy servant prayed, that thy eyes may be opened upon this house day and night, upon the place whereof thou hast said that thou wouldest put thy name